There's no such thing as an artist that's not searching. Well, first of all, I actually think you can't help it. I think there's something in the psyche which makes you keep on wanting to ask questions. And I think if you don't allow yourself to ask those questions, if you find they're too dangerous, or if you find you're so scared when you are not asked, that to ask them makes you too frightened, what happens is you'll drink or take drugs or fall into a clinical depression or something like that. So I do think there's a kind of, that most artists, although I'm not sure that most people aren't born with this deep, deep desire to seek, you know, to really try and find out what the truth is about. And but where does the truth live, and how do you investigate it are the next questions, you know? Because if you just investigate it intellectually, which is where our academics have now come out, but that was not true for Shakespeare in Shakespeare's day, so I want to say something about that. But now, academe, which is where most of the intellectual pursuit goes on, they do it with their minds only. In other words, they're sitting still all the time, and their thinking process goes from about here to here. And that's something that's happened over the last 400 years, that we have passed further and further up in, and our voices have become more and more constrained. And, you know, I blame the British Empire for this a lot, because, you know, if actually what you want to do is run to your mummy and say, "Mummy, Mummy, they hate me. Why do they hate me? Why don't they love me? Why don't they think I'm my savior?" But actually what you want to do is have a stiff upper lip and say, "I'm going to cultivate and make the natives terribly, terribly civilized," and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm being gross about it, but this idea of not being dominated by our emotions has resulted now, several hundred years later, in actually not being in touch with our emotions, and we're paying a very, very heavy price for it. We're disassociated from ourselves, so we don't know what it is we're saying and thinking. We are disassociated from our fellow men because of that. We're disassociated from nature. We buy into power all the time and not relationships, because we're cut off from our relationships and we don't know how to get, how to be sustained from them. We do violence to our children unwittingly, and so then our children don't know how to. So this thing of disassociating ourselves from our emotions is now having a terrible toll. And so we can do things like, you know, wreck our planet and not be in touch with what it is that we're doing.